Additionally, they found Rowan undergoing frozen treatment, and the robot scan showed his abdominal wound was minor. Other functions seemed normal. The medical technology today could bring him back, but their intrusions made the cryo chamber hotter than a sauna. This caused his body to start saying goodbye to those poor cells, so they rushed back to the ship for surgery. The team quickly packed up Rowan and Jason's corpses. They drove the landing craft back, unaware of the nightmare ahead. The two brothers were rushed to the operating room. Using futuristic high-tech equipment, they began scanning Jason's body, which revealed that his functions had already checked out of the building. Looks like he's a museum display now. Meanwhile, Rowan's cells were hanging on by a thread, and with today's nano-regeneration tech, he had a shot at a comeback from the frozen chamber. Before long, a swarm of nanobots swaddled Rowan like spring caterpillars, working overtime to fix his cells. When the repair hit 100%, the ancient Rowan finally woke up after more than 400 years of beauty sleep. Groggy from the nap, Rowan instinctively resisted upon seeing the unfamiliar faces, landing a slap on the professor who got too close. Looks like he was doing well after the revival. The professor calmed him down, saying they saved him from the cold world. Soon, Rowan remembered his frozen buddy Jason and urgently asked where he was. The professor, upon hearing Jason's name, seemed a bit scared. The professor even pretended they didn't bring the corpse aboard, which relieved Rowan until he learned it was 2455 AD. Then his brain just short-circuited. He couldn't believe he had been frozen for 455 years. Talk about a cool down. The professor exited the medical room and excitedly reported to his boss that finding a corpse on Earth was no big deal, but one preserved for so many years was a real jaw-dropper. Learning that the corpse belonged to Jason Voorhees, the boss was over the moon. This guy was a real headline grabber. If they could find a billionaire, they'd hit the jackpot. But little did they know the lab was about to go from experiments to nightmares. A female researcher was studying the corpse, completely unaware that Jason, now thought, was wide awake and ready to party. Suddenly, Jason sat up from the table. The researcher turned, shocked and horrified. She found the corpse gone. Jason swiftly grabbed her, leaving her speechless. He threw her mercilessly against the glass, and sadly, her colleagues outside didn't hear a thing. Once Jason caught her, it was game over. He dragged her to the liquid nitrogen pool, ready for a chilling hug. The liquid nitrogen instantly turned her face into an icy sculpture, and Jason lifted her up, then smashed her down like a wrecking ball. The woman shattered into pieces on the floor, and the real slaughter was just beginning as Jason picked out his fun toy. He began searching the ship for his next target, while Rowan's body was back in action, ready to strut his stuff. Rowan inadvertently spotted Jason's weapon and realized he'd been duped, urgently tipping off the professor. Meanwhile, the money-drunk professor still didn't take it seriously, stating that their checks confirmed Jason had zero life signs. He was dead as a doornail. Rowan, feeling uneasy, decided to check for himself but stumbled upon the horrifying sight of the woman's corpse in the lab. Meanwhile, Jason vanished without trace. The security chief promptly called everyone to gather and find the missing person. When the team gathered, one person was missing. Then a blood-covered woman came, saying Jason had killed her boyfriend. Things were getting out of hand, and the captain decided to take Jason out for good. The professor intervened, aiming for wealth, saying spare Jason, and had to give the captain $500,000. The captain agreed outwardly, then ordered full firepower. Protecting his crew was key. Meanwhile, a searching teammate was suddenly ambushed by a monster. Quick reflexes saved him, and he shot the monster, only to realize that this monster was just virtual game junk. They were ready to keep exploring when suddenly they heard noises from behind. They turned around and found Jason just slaying a monster, and now he was the new member of the group. The clueless duo thought it was all a game, only to see Jason slice down, and the unprepared bald guy lost his head. Luckily, it's just virtual, the two were unharmed. But as the game ended, they lost Morris' son. Jason raised the spear high, and the bald guy hurriedly pulled out the real deal, threatening him to let go. His indifference made the bald guy anxious, forcing him to pull the trigger, but the bullets had zero effect. To stop Jason's advance, the spear lunged at his back, but in a blink, Jason caught it. Nice move. He then grabbed the bald guy and slammed him against the wall as if he were a rag doll. By the time the team arrived, they'd been served by Grandma Jason, who was everywhere at once. Soon, Jason zeroed in on an engineer in the lab, who was blissfully unaware of the lurking danger behind him. It wasn't until he caught a glimpse of Jason's terrifying face in the mirror that Jason brandished his big old knife. Luckily, the captain arrived just in time to save the engineer, but Jason slipped away like a ninja, forcing the team to keep searching. Little did they know, Jason was lurking in the shadows, ready to take them down one by one. As one teammate searched around, Jason silently dragged him away. Needless to say, it wasn't a happy ending. Another guy spotted Jason, but was clearly outmatched. He was punched away like a feather. In just a few minutes, the team had taken heavy losses, yet the others hadn't even seen a shadow of the enemy. Just then, a teammate spotted trouble, turned to shoot, but saw his slain female teammate and knelt in despair. Little did he know, it was Jason making a grand entrance, and he started firing wildly in pure rage. Soon after, he blasted Jason backward, even chopping him in half like a watermelon. The last female teammate to get the memo was mercilessly hung on a meat hook by Jason, leaving the entire team depending on the captain's solo act. The captain cautiously moved forward, but couldn't escape Jason's clutches and ended up as his target. Jason grabbed the captain through a steel door, and as sharp spear pierced him, his screams sent chills down everyone's spine. Hearing the captain's horrible screams, panic swept through the group, and the professor finally believed Rowan, but it was too late. The only option left was to steer the ship to the nearest space station and let the soldiers there entertain Jason. Soon the ship neared its destination, but Jason quietly entered the cockpit before the pilot's 3-second joy. With one swift strike, he sent the pilot off to meet his maker, leaving the ship out of control, which then crashed into the space station. Game over. They not only lost their chance for rescue, but also obliterated the entire space station, with the ship sustaining serious damage. At that moment, they scrambled to send out a distress signal, but their hopes were fading fast. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more surprises and mysteries.